I'm your host, Chris Salem. Hope you're having a great week. You found us here at the TALRadio.org website. And again, we are on Spotify and Apple as well, including our YouTube channel. We want to welcome all the new listeners here. Again, we've been on the TALRadio.org station now for going on almost 4 years. It's hard to believe how fast it goes, but this show continues to increase in size because of you, the listener, and we are committed each and every week in delivering quality content through our various subject matter experts that we have on each week to help elevate your business and level influence to the next level. If you'd like to see more content that has not been covered here before, feel free to reach out to my team at Christophersalem.com. We're more than happy to gather that information to see about having that covered on a future episode. So again, feel free to reach out to us at Christophersalem.com. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, this is a membership program, taking out all the noise out of social media. No more of those noisy notifications. You get to come in and generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. In addition, it offers a wide array of different services not available to the general public, both on a professional and personal level. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, today's show, we're going to be covering today, Curiosity Killed the Cat. You probably heard that one before, but it saved you. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be hearing from Angelina Frost, a purpose-focused leadership coach, mentor, and digital marketing consultant with decades of experience working with entrepreneurs and executive teams in both the corporate and nonprofit sectors. Her extensive background in teaching, course creation, and group facilitation informs her casual, down-to-earth approach to getting to the heart and meaning of any matter. Angelina is fueled by her passion for understanding the nuances of organizational and cross-cultural dynamics. She considers herself a forever student, eager to build on her academic foundations in cultural anthropology and political science, while staying in tune with the latest digital marketing and personal development strategies through continued coursework and professional development. Over the past several decades, she has gathered and cultivated skills with countless hours of practice in private, corporate, and education sectors, bringing the soul back into personal growth and leadership development. Now, she's working on her 5th book, How Curiosity Killed the Cat, But It Saved You, the modern mom professional field guide to burnout recovery. This book is focused on cultivating genuine leadership from within while eliminating burnout. This book is for the successful woman leader who has accomplished and created everything they set out to do, but struggles with finding work-life harmony. She shows her clients how a solid relationship with self, both at home and the workplace, is the key to success, a tenet she lives out through her interest in community, permaculture, yoga, meditation, gardening, hiking, and nature photography. Now, the list can go on and on and on, but we'll make sure that you're going to get the rest of the information and how to contact Angelina here later in the show. And without further ado, we welcome Angelina Frost to the show. Angelina, how are you doing today?
Hi, great. Chris, thank you for having me.
It's a
This is a
pleasure to be here. And I love the name of your new book that is coming out here that you're working on. Let's talk about that. I mean, there are a lot of working moms out there, a lot of women leaders that have these roles as moms. And, I can't even imagine what a lot of them are going through. I mean, I'm a dad. I mean, I know on some level, don't get me wrong. But, for moms, they're usually the go-to parent, right? Especially when the kids are younger. And so can we talk a little bit about, I'd love to first maybe dive into the title first. Curiosity Killed the Cat, but saved you. If we could talk about a little bit about the backstory of that.
It was inspired actually when I was in the beginning of writing this book, and I kept finding myself bumping into the concept of curiosity and how essential it is to making any kind of change. Right. It's like the beginning point. And so while I was writing, I kept bumping into that concept and then that old adage, how curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back, right? And I was just like, there's got to be something in here. And so then when I was working with my editor, it was originally how curiosity killed the cat, but it saved the human. That was the original title. And
Yeah.
my editor was like, you know what? It needs to be, but it saved you. Oh, yes, 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 indeed. So that's how we got here
Oh,
with the
I love
title.
it. Love it. I love it. So that's fantastic. And so what can you paint a picture of majority? There's so many women now, working in, in businesses, in corporations, and all different types. They can be teachers and so on. And, burnout is real. And it's, I know being a trainer and consultant myself working with various size organizations that even since COVID or even during COVID and since COVID has been one of the number one concerns besides retention. And oftentimes burnout is very subtle. Like I mean, we know we're stressed, but we don't realize that a toll it's taking out on us. Can we talk a little bit about that and how that impacts women?
So you said the key word stressed, right? If stress remains uninterrupted, really what we're talking about is an internal sensation that feels like anxious, that feels like pressure, that feels like eventually exhaustion. And there's a chemical component to this. There's cortisol, there's adrenaline. If those things don't get interrupted from time to time, they literally start to just burn out our circuitry. And that word burnout is pretty literal because our central nervous system starts to become fatigued. And naturally, if something as fundamental as the central nervous system starts to become fatigued, then the whole system is going to experience that fatigue. Yeah, did I answer your
It
question?
did answer it. Yeah, it's so true. And stress, impacts people on different levels. Some people might have a higher tolerance and some don't. And I know some people have a low tolerance and obviously it impacts their well-being. They're maybe out sick more often or they got some physical issues as a result of it. And I've been there myself on occasion. So I know it firsthand back in the day before, I knew anything about this. And now, now that I'm armed with a lot of, information and have been applying it, thank God it has not, knock on wood, have impacted me. So, but you prompted to write this book because you saw a lot of women out there. And why do you feel like this is going to be beneficial for women to really know what to do with this?
Well, I think that there's a stigma around it to feel like things aren't working. I know that when I encountered burnout myself, it wasn't a part of the conversation. It wasn't a part of the cultural conversation. Eventually, after pushing it all the way as far as I possibly could before, I had the experience of my brain just stopping functioning. I stopped being able to do a really awesome, easy job that I had from home. I was working as a recruiter, talent acquisition in the biotech field. And I was a part of a team of work at home moms in the late 90s and early 2000s when nobody was doing that. Right. So I didn't when you looked at it from the outside, there was no reason. I was there. I was at home. I was with my kids. I didn't have to work full time because I was paid well. And still the ways that I was managing stress or not actually managing my stress and not having any idea the damage that I was doing to myself. It was eventually what caused that kind of hard hit to the wall. But there was so much, the thing that kept me from seeking help is I couldn't find a reason for it. And so I just went into denial, basically. I just pushed through until my system literally couldn't push through anymore. So I hit a really hard wall and I ended up being pretty, unwell. But if something like burnout had been on my radar and I had been able to, if it had been a part of what we were talking about, I would have been able to take some steps and recognize the signs and start to make some little micro adjustments, to pull yourself out of something that is as intense of an experience as burnout. That has a lot of stigma. It can be very frightening, especially if you're not really sure what's happening or why. And you have very high standards, high expectations for yourself, like so many of us do. And if you know that, oh, maybe this is a part of that burnout thing that I keep hearing about, okay, what do I do? It's not a big, broad, sweeping change. It's a process to pull yourself out of that state. But there are micro adjustments, little tiny things that we can do that are super, super simple. You don't have to go out into the world and look for a special tool or a special drug or anything like that. It's more about turning up the volume on attending to the different aspects of yourself, including the mental, including the emotional, including the physical, even including the spiritual, and every day making sure that you're giving yourself a very specific kind of attention and care.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have to take hours, right? But even just, I'm a meditator. I've been meditating for a really long time. I'm really
Yeah,
grateful
same
to
here.
have
Every
that.
day. I've been doing it for 26 years.
Yep. I started in 1988. I don't know how many years that is, but it's a lot.
Yeah, you did longer than
And
me. Mine was 19, what, let's see, now 1999, or no, 98, excuse me. It was 1998 I started. Yeah. So a
so,
little
but
over,
even,
actually a little over 26 years now that I think about it while getting there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, but even that practice wasn't enough to keep me from hitting that wall because
Mm.
there were a bunch of other things. Fun is an ingredient. Water is an ingredient. Making sure that you're getting the kind of sleep that you really need and really prioritizing it is an ingredient. These little teeny tiny micro gestures of self care with intention
Yeah, well, there you
behind
just said
them.
it, intention, because intention we can control, and what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I know, I'm not a woman, but a lot of times what I've observed with women is that because they're nurturers and that's like innate in them, and they tend to like always put everybody else first, including their children. And they always say when the oxygen mask comes down on an airplane, what do? You put it on
Put it
yourself
on yourself first.
before you put it on your kids. But most, parents, especially the mom, would put it on their kids before they put it on themselves.
Yeah, that's kind of an animalistic sort of hardwired thing,
Hardwired, exactly.
right? However, it's not sustainable it's like it's great for survival,
Yes.
right, of your species, right? But we're not really concerned about the survival of our species necessarily at
Yes.
this point in our human evolution, right? And so the question is now, okay, so we got this whole survival thing down. What is the thrival thing? What are the ingredients that can give us the experience of thriving, right? Because that oxygen mask on the kid first, that's species survival, hardwired, biological, something, right? But that isn't sustainable when one wants to have the experience of work life harmony,
Yeah.
right? And there's a question of purpose. So there are a lot of questions in this book. There are questions for contemplation to help people kind of reorient themselves in relationship to different concepts like purpose. And I take, a big part of this book, a significant part, I don't know if it's a big part, but a significant part is bringing people on a journey into a deeper understanding of what purpose actually is and a deeper recognition for themselves of how purpose is and always has been expressing itself through them. So really, this part of the book is about turning up the volume on their awareness of how purpose is already fulfilling itself through their daily lives so that when they see it, they can acknowledge it and give themselves a little like kudos, a little
Yeah.
recognition. Because if you don't know yourself so well that you recognize when you are living in alignment with your purpose, you won't give yourself acknowledgement or appreciation for it. And this does not bode well for keeping our energy up, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There's the mental, there's the emotional, there's the physical, but then there's also this other piece of just having awareness of ourselves in an appreciative way does a lot. And it
Yeah.
sounds like such a simple little thing, but it's really, really huge because we need our own appreciation like that oxygen mask on ourselves.
Yes.
We really need it if we want to feel happy,
Yeah. And like you
right?
said,
And
it like,
happy is,
in
yeah,
hindsight, if in this case it could be anybody, let's say for a woman, if she puts it on, even though the child's very small and may not realize it, but it's in essence everything else she does, through her example and through her resourcefulness, through empathy and kindness, she's empowering her children or anybody to do for themselves,
To take care of
take
themselves
care of themselves, so they're
first.
not dependent on, oh, if I'm gonna breathe, I got mom's gonna do it for me, or if I gotta mom will do that for me. So they can do it for themselves because they saw what mom was doing for herself, not in a selfish way, but in a way that's moving her forward and growing her happiness, that I can choose to do the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it comes down to keeping that tank full. Like a
Mm,
depleted mom isn't a happy mom.
no,
And kids need for their moms to be happy.
you're right. Like you said, what you can't give what you don't have.
Exactly.
But wow, that is so true. Great insight there, and I think, like I said, there is just a lot of people out there, a lot of women in on various levels in businesses, all size organizations, and just even if they're not working and they're just moms, and that's their full-time role. It's these are things that, yeah, more people like yourself in your book are going to really make a difference and help them and set things up for future generations. Because again, kids learn from what they observe in their parents growing up, and
Exactly.
yeah, so
Yeah. And to that point, when a kid is seeing their mom in that which she is serving,
mm,
right?
yeah,
But what we've inherited is moms not including themselves
yeah,
in their service to their families, in their service to their companies, in their service to whatever. That is the meme that is kind of replicated through the generations.
yeah,
The word meme is more of a sociological term. It doesn't really mean what it means in social media, but
yeah,
social media grabbed onto it because it replicates itself
yeah,
throughout the generations. And so we're at a time right now, because of the demands of modern life, that we actually have to learn how to do it differently and understand that we are at a point where we are now required to include ourselves in that which we serve.
yeah.
It's a must if we want to change the pattern and if we want to yield a generation of people who are more capable of being happy in their lives,
Yeah.
being satisfied, being fulfilled.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's an inside job. Yes, we have things that we can laugh, can make us laugh, and people can show love to each other. But when it's all said and done, you got to choose to be happy. You have to choose to love yourself, and nobody can do that for you. Other
Exactly.
than maybe compliment it, but not actually, do it for you.
Yeah, nobody can have a relationship, a healthy, loving relationship with you, for you, but you.
Yes.
It's that relationship that upon which all of the other relationships are founded for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that is something that, we might have started learning about this stuff in preschool because it's not really rocket science and it makes sense when you hear it, but we didn't really actually learn what it means to have a healthy, loving relationship with ourselves. And so we're at a point where we're realizing that, well, we better figure it out, right? And there are lots of, self-love isn't like saying nice things to yourself, although that's helpful, especially because so many of us have nasty things to say to ourselves
Yeah.
privately, right? So it can be helpful, but self-love is an action. And the actions are inward. They're not visible, but they are very important and very powerful if you are in a place in your life where you recognize that something needs to change. Start with the relationship that you're having with yourself. And
Yeah.
there are lots of really sweet and simple ways that you can start to do that
Can you share that
today.
with us with the time we have? We'd love to hear some of those that you could share with our listeners here, particularly the women that listen to our show.
Yeah. So one really beautiful self-love practice that is actually natural for us as humans. We're born knowing how to be this way with ourselves. But let's say we're having a moment at home or at work where tensions are high. We're feeling maybe a little triggered, right? One thing that we can do in that moment is to ask for a timeout, retreat, include herself, take a moment to sense inside what are the sensations of this state of triggered. I'm a little hot under the collar. My heart is pounding. I'm furious, or I'm very frustrated, or I'm feeling sad. All of these concepts that I just named that we use to refer to our emotions are really actually referring to sensations that are going on inside of our bodies. And we can leverage those very unpleasant sensations. And the way that we can is by putting our undivided loving attention directly into the center of the feeling and just being there with ourselves while we feel the feeling. It sounds really counterintuitive because most of us want to just push them away, turn them off, get away, run, just not do that. That also, with time, adds to the cargo that we end up having to carry in our bodies.
Yeah.
That's no bueno. That does not help for us to feel good in our bodies or in our lives. So this undivided loving attention directed toward the inside where it hurts, where it's uncomfortable, where it's pleasant, with a trust that this undivided loving, not judgeful, that is key. This undivided loving attention is sufficient to help the hard feeling actually run its course. All of the sensations have a beginning, middle, and end. And somewhere along the way, we learned how to judge them, be afraid of them, push them away, deny them, come up with stories about them, name them, make them somebody else's fault, blame ourselves for them, everything but do what is actually effective at helping them to actually just pass. The sensations are really just our system's way of showing us in any given moment where we are in need of our own love.
Yeah.
And we can deliver that to ourselves through our own undivided loving attention, pointing it into the place where it hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's
Yeah.
powerful stuff. And thank you for sharing that. We hope listeners, particularly those women and moms out there, or women that will become moms, this is really important. You got to be, it starts with awareness, as Angelina talked about. And then now, starting with one thing at a time, not trying to do everything at once. And this has got to become part of your day to day if it's going to stick and then to see the fruits or the rewards of it. I know that's what I had to do when I started going through this process many years ago, 26 plus years ago. It wasn't easy in the beginning, but I can tell you, I look back, it was the best thing I ever did in my life because I do it every day, and it changed my life. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. In the beginning, it's like working with a new muscle, and it
yeah,
feels maybe, a little awkward, but
yeah.
its benefits reach far beyond the little time investment and the little awkward that you might have to put up with in the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, as we're towards the end of the show, I wanted to see in about 30 seconds if you could just really sum up everything you shared and maybe just a high impact statement about today that you could leave for women, particularly moms, and when it comes to work-life harmony, whatever that means to them, wherever they are, to share with them.
Turning up the volume on your understanding and your awareness of purpose requires your own curiosity about who you really are. Your undivided loving attention is the thing that solves the pain of frustration or stress that all of us deal with every day. And you
Oh, powerful, powerful stuff. Thank you so much, Angelina, for taking the time to be here from your schedule with us here today. I want to make sure the listeners get to know you. What is the best way they can reach out to you? Anything that you're up to or anything you'd like to share with them? We'd like to make sure, and we'll make sure everything about Angelina's contact information, including anything around the book, all of that will be in the show notes.
awesome. So if you'd like, you can go get a copy of one of the books that I've written called Connection. It's a book about attention and how to leverage your attention to cultivate connection in your life. AngelinaFrost.com/gift. That's a quick and easy way to get on my mailing list, find out about my upcoming workshops and series. There's a cool series coming up that's called It Starts With You. It's a 28-week series, and it's based on a different book that I wrote. And it's all about those micro habits and the community of support that helps us take those steps and stay in the game. When people witness us grow and change, it makes our growth and change more real for us, makes it more sustainable
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Angelina, for taking the time again to be with us today. We are extremely grateful.
Christopher, thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very grateful. Much love to you and your audience, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. Again, we are committed each and every week in bringing subject matter experts like Angelina in to share their insights and, most importantly, their personal experience in helping you to elevate your level of influence and whatever is important to you in your life to the next level. Again, we encourage everybody to go back and listen to this episode again, either on our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, or, of course, here at talradio.org. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.